Most buyers think that earnest money is just a formality, but not understanding it can cost you real money. So out here in Arizona, we have what's called an earnest deposit. Once you get a home under contract within 24 to 48 hours, the title company, not your realtor, not your mom, not the lender, but the title company will reach out to you asking for an earnest deposit. This is typically about 1% of the sales price, and it's just a chunk of money that's going to sit in the title company that opens up escrow that shows the sellers that we're moving forward on this transaction. Keep in mind, this money can get taken from you if you don't understand the terms of your contract. So out here in Arizona, all homes are sold as is, meaning you do have protection when it comes to your earnest deposit. In the first 10 days, you're going to do your home inspection, neighborhood check, school check. If there's anything that you don't like or you're not comfortable with, you can cancel and get your earnest money back. But again, remember, that's just in your first 10-day period. Another time period where you could get your earnest deposit back would be during the appraisal period. If for some reason during the appraisal period that appraisal does not come in at value, you do have a time period where you can get your earnest money back. But again, those are the only two times in the transaction when it would be returnable. Once you are locked in during that inspection period before the appraisal period, that earnest money is considered hard money. That earnest money is non-refundable, and if you decide this home isn't for you and you want to cancel, you could not only open yourself up for a lawsuit, but you would definitely open yourself up for those sellers to get to keep that earnest deposit. So make sure you understand the contract, you ask the right questions. The earnest deposit, again, is a great way to show the sellers that you're moving forward. It solidifies that escrow. It opens up the pathway to get the transaction going. But you want to protect it. You want to know your deadlines, your timelines, and work with a team that's going to educate you and teach you on your timelines and what you can do and can't do. That earnest money right there doesn't just sit in escrow. When you are getting ready to close, that money is going to come back to you. So during the time period of your closing costs and what needs to come in, your earnest money will be credited towards you back on your closing day. And again, this is just something for you to keep in mind when purchasing a home. Expenses, money that you're going to need. So when you're purchasing a home out here in Arizona, you're obviously going to need to know your down payment amount, your earnest deposit amount, and inspections. So home inspections out here, depending on who you're working with, can range from $400 to $2,000, depending on the size of the home, how many inspections you want to have, and who you use for inspections. For example, if you want to have a home inspection and termite inspection, that's the bare minimum, and where you see most home buyers starting with, depending on the year of the home and the location and what type of home it is. There's going to be other inspections involved. Include a sewer line inspection. You could have a well inspection, a septic inspection. There's also mold inspections, and different areas of Arizona will require different types of inspections. So make sure you're educated by your buyer's agent to know what to expect and what's to be expected of you. For instance, a home with a septic tank would be a septic inspection, but that right there is going to be a seller cost unless the buyers and sellers negotiate that at the beginning of the contract to solidify who will be paying for that. But under regular real estate, most of the time the sellers pay for the septic inspection, the septic pump, to make sure that the septic is working correctly. A well inspection, if the home has a well, of course that's going to be a buyer's cost to make sure that the water is good, to make sure that it's inspected and working properly. Those are types of inspections right there that will matter when purchasing a home. Home inspection and termite inspection are kind of your starting go point. If the home inspector sees things that worry them, they may look at you and say, hey, you want to have another type of inspection, such as a roofer come out, an HVAC inspector come out, or maybe a structural engineer. So those things can be solidified during that inspection period when we see how the original home inspection comes out. Inspections can go wild. You can schedule all of them to get done during that time period, depending on the house and the condition. Have a conversation with your buyer's agent or with me. I would love to help you make a decision and get you in the right contacts so you can feel educated when purchasing a home. And again, yes, if you're working with a qualified real estate agent such as myself, we have the resources, connections to get you everyone you need to make sure that your inspections are done right so your earnest money can be returned if there's something found in any of those factors that make you uncomfortable. Again, don't be afraid of asking questions, knowing the facts before you start. When you're looking for a home, things that are going to be important will definitely be your budget, so you know what you need to come in with, what you're going to lose if you cancel on a home, because of course all homes in Arizona are sold as is. So all inspections except for septic and maybe a couple of others, depending on what home you're looking at, will be up to you to do, up to you to pay for. And of course, that would be the one thing that would kind of put you at a loss of money if the inspection period doesn't go to what you need or want. It's also a safety net so you're not getting stuck with a lemon or a home that just does not work for you. So again, if you're out here in Arizona, you have questions on a home, Common Buyer's Guide will get that out to you for free so you understand the buying process and understand the inspections that are needed to make sure your earnest money is protected. Another way that your earnest deposit would be to be protected would be definitely if you get a loan denial, if you lose your cash somehow. So anytime there's a financial issue with you as a buyer, and suddenly you cannot get pre-qualified, cannot close on this loan, cannot get the funds needed to purchase this property, you do have protection with the purchase contract to get the earnest money returned back with the correct documentation that you can send over to the sellers so they know what to expect. There's a lot of documents for you as a home buyer to sign out here in Arizona when purchasing your home. You want to make sure you're working with a team and you feel like you can ask questions and educated when starting the process to finish in the process. There's no way for you to know what to expect, especially if this is your first home. Even if it isn't your first home, I find buyers that are always amazed at the knowledge I supply over to them and documentation so that they understand on buying a home, what it entails, how to protect themselves, how to protect your money. So that's definitely one of the biggest factors when buying a home. You want to make sure that you're protected throughout this process, making home buying fun for you and everyone else involved, because this is a big deal. You're buying a home. You're not buying a pack of gum or a pair of sneakers. There's a lot of money involved. Whether you're buying a $100,000 home or a $10 million home, they're all the same. They're all going to come into play. It's all going to be buying, selling, using your proceeds, using the money that you work so hard to get to buy this property. So it can get a little scary. There's going to be hiccups. There's going to be times where you question what you're doing. So make sure that you have the knowledge to make sure you understand what you're doing, what you're signing for, who's getting what, where your money's going, is it returnable, is it not? These are questions you want to ask, and you want to make sure that you understand fully when buying a home out here in Arizona. There's other key factors that you need to think about. If we're looking at new build homes, this is a totally different conversation. Seeing their terms are totally different. In a new build home, earnest deposit is typically non-refundable. Again, unless you're buying this home and you get a loan denial or you can't get the cash to close on this transaction. That would be your only protection when buying a home with a new build, would definitely be financial, just because they kind of lock you into earnest deposit when you put that down payment in. In closing, know exactly what you're putting in risk before you sign. I hope you have an awesome day.